Hello YouTube, Sam here from youtube.com/onlivegamer for the new Boston, and in this tutorial we're going to be talking about timers. So let's go ahead and create a new project. We'll go ahead and select Windows Forms application, and we will set the name to timers. So let's go ahead and we will make the form a little bit smaller. We will add a list box and two buttons. So here's our list box. We've got button 1 and button 2. So we'll just make this a little bit bigger. And now what we need to do is set the text of button 1 to start, and then the text of button 2 to stop. We'll go ahead and come over here to start, and we'll set the name to button start. And then for stop, we're going to need button stop. Okay, so let's come over here to our toolbox, and we will scroll down, and let's find the timer. So if you drop down your components submenu right here, you're going to go ahead and see the timer right here. So just like any of the dialogues, you don't need to drag it out onto your form because you cannot actually see it. So we'll just double click on timer, and you can see it has been added to our form. So let's go ahead and click on timer, come over here to the lightning bolt, and we'll just double click on tick. So what the tick does is it's every time the timer ticks, and you can set the properties of this and set the interval. So this is milliseconds. So 100 milliseconds is a tenth of a second. Let's just set our interval to 5,000 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds. So every time the timer ticks, let's go ahead and add a number to the list box. So we'll go ahead and do private number as integer, and we'll set it equal to 0. So whenever it ticks, we will add it to the list box. So listbox1 dot items dot add, and we will add number, and let's go ahead and just add 1 to number. So it's going to add it to the list box and then increment it by 1. Now 5 seconds is going to take a pretty long time, so let's just go ahead and shrink this down to 1 second. So we've got 1 second, 1,000 milliseconds. Now we'll double click on the button start click, and whenever they click start, we want to go ahead and start the timer. So we'll just type timer1 dot start. So it's going to start ticking the timer. And whenever they click stop, let's go ahead and stop the timer. So timer1 dot stop. So let's go ahead and run this. And if we click start, we wait a second, and 0 shows up. 1, 2, 3. And this is happening at intervals of 1 second. Now if we did all of this at once and added them all at the same time, it would be almost instantaneous. But since we are pausing, well, not really pausing, we're using a timer, and every time that ticks, we're adding. So let's go ahead and change the interval, and we can see the change in time. So let's change it to 5,000 milliseconds. We'll go ahead and click start, and you can see we wait 5 seconds, and 0 shows up. And if we wait another 5 seconds, the 1's going to show up. So go ahead and practice with timers. They are very useful. You put the code that you want to run in during each tick, and then you can have certain actions start and stop your timer. So go ahead and practice with those, and once you got those down, go ahead and move on to the next tutorial.